Hello, my name's Shawn, editor at screwymonkey.com, and it is Christmas time! And you know what that means. It's time for some really funky traditions. Now in America, we have a lot of funky traditions. I mean, generally, we take our glittery balls and hang them on a half-dead tree, and then wait for a fat man to come down our chimneys. And that's pretty messed up as it is, but it's nothing compared to what the rest of the world does to celebrate Christmas. Our first bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world: have yourself a crappy little Christmas. In Spain, Portugal, and Italy, there is a tradition of building a replica of Bethlehem. Kind of like a very expanded nativity scene. It includes all of your normal characters. There's a Mary, a Joseph, a baby Jesus, you know, everyone you would expect, and this other character called the Caganer, I believe, is how you pronounce it. Basically, Caganer, or however you pronounce it, roughly translates in English to the shitter. It is a figure of a person squatting with their pants below their butt, taking a dump. You know, little Christmas poo, which apparently is considered to be a very good omen and very lucky for Christmas. The little figures come in all kinds of different varieties as well. They have everything from the traditional of a sharply dressed man taking a poo in the corner to US presidents, famous movie stars, cartoon characters, you know, all taking a Christmas poo. It's a bizarre little tradition, and oddly enough, this little figure is always placed somewhere in a corner out of the way a little bit, because apparently if you're gonna take a Christmas poo, you need privacy to do it. Number 2, our second bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from Norway. It's time to play Hide the Broom. Norwegian tradition states that on Christmas Eve, evil witches and bad spirits, they come out and they create havoc. So to make sure this doesn't happen, families go around and they do one of two things. One, they hide all the brooms in their house, thereby leaving the witches without rides. We all know witches without rides can't really do much. And 2, the men go outside and they shoot guns, hopefully into the air, to scare away the evil spirits. Sounds like a great time and a great way to celebrate Christmas Eve. Our third bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from Japan. It's time for some buckets full of Christmas cheer. It seems the go-to quintessential must-have, cannot absolutely live without meal for Christmas in Japan are big old greasy buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, I know. See, it is so popular that unless you have called ahead and made a reservation, you're not getting into your KFC to pick up your Christmas dinner. They won't serve you, you can't even get it to go. You have to make reservations. That is how popular Kentucky Fried Chicken is on Christmas in Japan. It is the must-have thing you have to do. And a Christmas tradition that to me personally sounds pretty finger-licking good. Our fourth bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from Germany. Sort of Germany, yeah. And that brings me to story time. This particular tradition is something that I have been incorporating into my household for probably the last 10 years. See, 10 years ago I was shopping at a retailer and I got the most adorable Pickle Christmas ornament. I thought it was adorable and cute and kind of whimsical, and I kind of thought that the story that came with it, where it said that Germans hide them on their Christmas tree, blah 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 blah, people get good luck, etc., was incredibly cute, so I just incorporated it into my Christmas tradition. Well, in researching this particular piece, I found out it's all a big lie. It turns out way back in the day, there was a retailer called Woolworths. Some of us are old enough to remember them. Some of you are not, lucky you. But they were a 5 and dime discount retailer, etc. And they did a lot of importing back before importing was really popular. One thing they used to import were Christmas ornaments from Germany. And one thing I guess they imported a bunch of were Pickle Christmas ornaments, which they needed to find a way to sell. So they created this quaint little tale about Germans hiding them in their Christmas trees, and then whatever German child got up on Christmas morning and found the pickle would get a special gift and then had good luck the rest of the year, blah, 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 blah. And it became extraordinarily popular. And apparently, to this day, pickle ornaments are still sold, and they're sold with this story, which is how schmucks like me fall for it and incorporate it into their Christmas traditions. So, number 4 on our list, pickle ornaments from Germany. Not really from Germany, but I'm hoping that they'll pick up on it and start doing it there too. So I ball on straight. Okay. Our 5th bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world. I see dead people, and they're in Finland. Finnish tradition apparently is to go visit your dead relatives and ancestors on Christmas Eve. People go out and they find the graves of their loved ones in cemeteries, and they light candles and they leave them there, and they pay a little visit to their dead loved ones. Apparently as well, if you do not have dead loved ones nearby, you still go to the cemetery and commune with other people's dead loved ones as well and leave candles. The other thing that they do is they will set a plate for their deceased relatives, so if they come and visit on Christmas Eve, they'll have food. And they also don't sleep in their own beds, leaving them empty, so that if their dead relatives come back and visit on Christmas Eve, then they have a place to sleep. It's very hospitable, but just the tiniest bit weird. Our 6th bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from Sweden. We're calling this one Burning Goat Festival. You know, like Burning Man Festival? If it's not funny to you, look it up, it will be. Anyway, in Gavle, Sweden, every single year since 1966, they build a 13-meter high statue of a goat out of straw and hay and highly flammable materials, and almost immediately people started burning it down on Christmas Eve. This tradition has continued year after year after year, almost every single year since they started building the statue. Now, just to be clear, they really do not want you to burn down the statue. As a matter of fact, the vandals who get caught doing this spend quite a bit of time in Swedish jails or prisons. I'm not sure which one. Either way, ask the American tourist who got caught several years ago burning it down, because his entire Christmas plans went up in flames almost as quickly as that goat did. Our 7th bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from the Ukraine. Tim Burton would definitely approve. We're calling this one the Nightmare Before Christmas. There's a tradition in the Ukraine where you decorate your Christmas trees with artificial spiders and artificial spider webs. I guess the story goes that way back in time, there was a woman and her family, and they were very poor. They could not afford anything at all for Christmas, or the rest of the year for that matter. So when Christmas came around, they decorated their Christmas tree with whatever they had, which turned out to be spider webs, and when the Christmas morning the next day shone through their windows and glistened on their tree, the spider webs turned to gold and to silver. Very precious, very expensive metals indeed, leaving them never ever having to want for anything again. The tradition now continues, with people all across that country decorating with spider webs in the hopes that will happen for them as well. Our 8th bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from Iceland. We're calling this one Grab 'em by the Christmas Kitty. The tradition of the Yule Cat. That's what we're talking about. The Icelandic people are some of the hardest working people on the planet. It turns out of all of Europe, the Icelandic people put in more hours overtime than any other country. They're really big believers in hard work. It only makes sense then that they would have this tradition that they use to scare the hell out of their children. It goes something like this. If you're a good child and you've finished all of your work and you've gotten new clothes as a result and you are looking good and you are completely have worked the hardest that you can possibly work the entire year, the Yule Cat will not come and eat you. Yep, it eats you. If for some reason you are lazy and you're not looking good and you haven't done all your work, then you become cat food. It's a great tradition, and I'm sure one that motivates many children in Iceland to work their butts off all year long. Our 9th bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from Mexico, specifically Oaxaca, Mexico. We're calling this one The Virgin Was Simply Radishing. On December 23rd, people in Oaxaca celebrate something known as Noche de los Rabanos, or Night of the Radishes, where they will take large oversized radishes and sculpt them with beautiful scenes of the Nativity, or of the Virgin, or of different religious iconography, and then leave them in their plazas and town squares on display. It is truly a sight to behold, with all these beautifully carved nativities and virgins in radish format all over the place in their plazas. It is a terrific way to have a very large Christmas salad. So our 10th bizarre Christmas tradition comes to us from Austria. It is the tradition that we're calling Christmas in Hell. And there's a very good reason for it, actually. It goes something like this. Apparently Santa Claus has an evil twin brother. His name is Krampus. There was actually a very interesting movie several years ago around Christmas time based on this particular tradition. It was scary as hell, and so is this tradition. Krampus is a really bad evil guy. He goes around and beats the hell out of children, kidnaps them, steals them, tortures them basically, that have misbehaved. Kids misbehave, you get beaten by Krampus. I don't know. For me, I kind of prefer our tradition of a lump of coal in your stocking. Just saying. In order to bring this tradition to life, apparently, December 5th-ish every single year, in Austria and some other places, adults dress in these Krampus-inspired devilish-looking costumes, extraordinarily scary-looking costumes, and get very drunk, and then go around hitting each other with sticks and beating the crap out of each other. Sounds like fun, kind of like a big Christmas-inspired S&M party in hell. Our 11th bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us once again from Iceland. Now, we're calling this one Shoes Full of Rotting Potatoes. You might recall a little bit earlier on our list that in Iceland, if you were a lazy boy or girl, you're pretty much cat food. But let's say you survived the Yule Cat and now you want to participate in another fun Icelandic tradition. Well, you can participate in the tradition of the Yule Lads. Now, Yule Lads to me sound like gay choir boys, but that's a whole nother video. Apparently, boys and girls all across Iceland will take their very best pair of shoes and put them in their windowsills at night. And then if they have behaved and they've been good, they will get gifts in their shoes. But if you've been naughty, the Yule Lads, the mischievous fellows that they are going to leave rotting potatoes in your shoes. And I'm pretty sure that's a smell not even Dr. Scholl's could get out of there. Our last and final bizarre Christmas tradition from around the world comes to us from India. We're calling this one, "Wanna Decorate My Banana?" See, there's about 2.3% of the population in India that are Christians. That's roughly about 25 million people due to the population size. Now, these Christians in India, for the most part, celebrate Christmas like all the others in the world. You know, give gifts to each other, go to midnight mass, all that stuff that you would pretty much associate with Christmas celebrations. One of the big differences, though, is that you can't find a fir or pine tree in India for the most part. So there is no such thing as a traditional Christmas tree. So the Christians in India have come up with a rather ingenious solution. They've started implementing banana trees instead. So if you go into a Christian's home during the Christmas season, while they're celebrating Christmas, you're probably going to see a very brightly illuminated, very beautifully decorated banana tree in the corner instead of a Christmas tree. Let's just hope it's a big one. I hope you've enjoyed this look at 12 bizarre holiday traditions from around the world. I'm Shawn, editor at screwymonkey.com, and I would like to wish you and yours the absolute best holiday season ever, regardless of what holiday it is that you celebrate. I would also like to say thank you for watching this year. I have a lot of great content coming out next year, and I think you're going to love all of it. For that reason, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like and make sure you click the notifications icon as well after you subscribe so you will never, ever, ever miss a single video. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate human culture one screwy monkey at a time.